With the NBA season finishing out in Orlando this year, it will be incredibly exciting to see these teams fight it out for that championship crown. This season has been so competitive and fun, with parity arguably restored, that it would have been so disappointing to see it all go to waste. When people discuss who may actually win this year, most talk about the Lakers and the Clippers or the Bucks, but the gap between those Tier 1 championship contenders and the second tier teams is really not that wide. It is possible that neither of those teams will win the championship this year. Today we're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets, who have been near the top of the competitive Western Conference standings for 2 years in a row now, with one of the most exciting players in the league in Nikola Jokic. And to be honest with you, it is a bit surprising that this team hasn't gotten as much coverage as other teams in that Tier 2 range. But we are going to break down the Nuggets' chances of going the distance this season and beyond. But first, if you like this video, subscribe and hit the like button so I could keep making videos for you guys. So this season, the Denver Nuggets were on pace to win 54 games again and are sitting in the number 3 seed, 1.5 games behind the Clippers. And with the league going through changes in the offseason with teams shuffling their superstars around, the Nuggets have been leaning on continuity. They have steadily improved each of the past 5 seasons, going from 33 wins to 44 wins to 46 to 54, and again we're on pace to go for another 54-win season this year. They are a steady and balanced team, ranking 9th in offensive rating and 13th in defensive rating. They are also very well coached by Mike Malone, and he's got his players buying into their clear roles. Nikola Jokic is their best player and engine that runs the team. Gary Harris, their best defender and steady shooting guard. Jamal Murray as their second best player and shot maker, with Paul Millsap as the glue guy and two-way player, and they have a very deep and productive bench. I see the Nuggets as a second tier team, along with the Celtics, the Raptors, the Rockets, and arguably the Jazz, who have a puncher's chance at winning the championship this season. But that's going to depend on a few things. First of all, Nikola Jokic is going to have to be his engaged and dominant self like he was last postseason. He is an MVP caliber player and has his fingerprints on everything the team does. If he doesn't play well, it won't matter how well the other players do, because he is the foundation and engine of the team. And I honestly do not have any doubts that he will dominate if he comes back in decent shape heading into the playoffs, and that is a big if. Secondly, Jamal Murray is gonna have to get to another level. Consistency has been an issue for him. But since February, Murray, to his credit, has played very well, averaging 21.9 points, 5.5 assists, while shooting 50.4% from the field and knocking down 39% from 3 on 7 attempts per game. That is what the Nuggets will need from him on a consistent level in the postseason. Him knocking down threes in particular is incredibly important, as the Nuggets are not a great three-point shooting team. In the games that the team won, Jamal Murray knocked down a very nice 38.5% from the three-point line, compared to 25.3% from 3 in the Denver losses. The Denver Nuggets have made a huge bet on Jamal Murray developing into an all-star and a legit second option behind Jokic by giving him a massive 5-year, $170 million contract. And he needs to be the second option not just out of necessity, but because he's a legit second weapon that the team can deploy. He can't just be a good point guard. He needs to be a perennial all-star. But Murray is only 23 years old with loads of potential and playing a position that has a longer learning curve. To his credit, he has steadily improved in all of his 4 seasons in the league, and he has earned Coach Malone's trust in last year's postseason. But he's going to have to be even better if the Nuggets want to go the distance this year. Then there is the Denver Nuggets X Factor and secret weapon, Michael Porter Jr. Coach Malone has been very reluctant to play Porter through his mistakes on his contending team, and I totally get it. If he played for the Hawks or the Knicks or some other terrible team like that, then yeah, Malone would probably have been playing him through his mistakes no problem. But the Nuggets may have to take the risk and play Porter Jr. through some of his mistakes in the postseason if they want to get out of the second round of the playoffs. In 15 games in the month of January, Porter was playing very well and started earning Michael Malone's trust by averaging 12.3 points, 6.9 rebounds and 1.3 assists in 21.3 minutes per game on a 52.2% efficiency from the field and a crazy 48% from 3, which again are 3-pointers the Nuggets desperately need, considering they're in the bottom third in the league when it comes to 3-point shooting. Also for the season, he's put up per 36 numbers of 19.2 points, 1.9 assists, 10.7 rebounds, on 49.5% field goal percentage and 42% from the three-point line. He showed his shot maker potential by consistently making difficult shots and displaying his scoring versatility, though on the defensive side he does leave a lot to be desired at this early stage of his career, which can really hurt the team in the playoffs. He did unfortunately end up turning his ankle and wasn't the same once he returned from injury, and of course ended up back in Michael Malone's doghouse. The question is, can he at the very least get back to what he was doing in January as a spark plug for the team in the playoffs? And will Michael Malone take that risk of playing him? The last question that remains is, how will the Nuggets address their biggest weakness, which is their lack in size at the small forward position? In today's game, teams are thriving with small forwards who play multiple positions, presenting mismatches with guys like 6'8" forward Luka Doncic, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, LeBron James, just to name a few. The Nuggets have been starting a 6'4" Gary Harris and a 6'5", 185-pound Will Barton at small forward this season, which just isn't going to cut it against those guys. It really is a glaring weakness as teams will look to exploit this in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, the Portland Trail Blazers did exploit this in the playoffs against the Nuggets last year. Even though it was a fairly even series that went 7 games, ultimately it was 6'8" small forward Rodney Hood, of all people, who killed them, averaging 14.7 points on 57% shooting that series. So imagine going up against the likes of Luka Doncic or Paul George. This makes it all the more vital for Michael Porter Jr. to develop. Ultimately, I don't see the Nuggets getting past the second round of the playoffs. I do think the Clippers, who they are likely to match up against in the second round, will be too much for them, as their two best players are dominant small forwards who will undoubtedly take advantage of the Nuggets' biggest weakness. Going forward, considering they're capped out, they're going to need Jamal Murray to develop into a perennial all-star as he enters his prime, and for Michael Porter Jr. to turn into an all-star many had him pegged to become when he was a consensus #1 pick in most mock drafts before getting that back injury. If that happens, it would actually be realistic to think that they would win the championship at some point in the future. What do you guys think? Do you see the Denver Nuggets at all having a chance of winning the championship this year? And outside the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Bucks, which of the tier 2 teams with a puncher's chance do you actually see winning the championship? And again, if you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe. I'm out.